Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 3rd. Whoa, it's the 3rd. It's October 3rd, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Engel, aka Mocho Noah. It's October 3rd. Oh my God. I think today, actually, I'm taping this on the 2nd, which is Yom Kippur, I believe. Yom Kippur. Sandy Koufax, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, if not the greatest pitcher of all time. I don't know how many years ago. And someone can correct me on this, Jewish pitcher, played for the Dodgers, game 1 of the World Series fell on Yom Kippur. And then, so he sat out. He's like, what is Yom Kippur? Is it, no electronics? What is that? Oh, no, that's a Sunday thing? I don't, Judaism, I don't know how it works. He was like, no, I can't play. It's Yom Kippur. I'm sitting out game 1. He didn't play game 1. He pitched game 3, game 5, and then on 2 days of rest, I think pitched was it a complete game shutout, or was it just a complete game, just a regular complete game in game 7 of the World Series to win the damn thing. So shout out to him. Shout out to Yom Kippur. Shout out to, I don't want to, I mean, I don't know how do I say it? Well, I don't know if you're celebrating, I guess. What do you guys get, like, is it kind of like, what's the Christmas one? Hanukkah, Kwanzaa? What the hell is it? Hanukkah? Well, it's Hanukkah. Yeah, it's the menorah, right. You guys get like 1 million presents. What about Yom Kippur? You guys get cool stuff. Y'all get that new FIFA for Yom Kippur? I don't know. I don't know. Well, if you're celebrating, I hope you're having a riot of a time. Do you celebrate it? Do you just observe it? I don't know. I don't know. It's unknowable. Look, folks, I'm going to give you a quick little, let me stay on this for, it's October 3rd. It's October 3rd. Nick, what the hell is October 3rd? It's just a little thing from Mean Girls, the most important piece of culture that the United States has ever produced. The most influential is maybe the better way to phrase it for me. The most influential piece of culture that the United States has ever produced. A movie called Mean Girls, which had, a lot of people in that movie. Tim Meadows. Weird to name the principal in the movie. He's not that. He's not the central figure of the movie. Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams, Amanda Seyfried. Mamma Mia. It's the most important movie to me that's ever been made. It's so central to who I am as a man. And it's October 3rd. It's just a thing that happens in the movie. Lindsay Lohan, she has a love interest in the movie. And she's in high school. She's like, I don't know she's like nervous about talking to this guy. And she's like, one day he asked me what day it was. And then in the movie, he's like, so what day is it? And she's like, it's October 3rd. And so if you're cultured, whenever it's October 3rd, you just make a little, I don't know. What do? You make a mental note of it? I don't know. There was a few years ago, just to go in line with that movie, so on Wednesdays, they would wear pink. The Mean Girls, the Plastics, they would wear pink. And so any time that October 3rd falls on a Wednesday, it's like the fucking multiverse is exploding. I was working at Hot Topic, I think the last time that October 3rd fell on a Wednesday, and it was a whole thing, bro. Everybody coming in the whole day. It's actually pretty fun. I remember even I wore pink that day, again, because it's just such an important movie to me. Okay, I got a quick little content update for you guys, a little scheduling update. It won't be that disruptive. So a week from this upcoming Saturday, I will be in East Lansing, Michigan. Michigan State, my Spartans, taking on the UCLA Bruins. Believe it's the homecoming game. Going to be there with Maddie's family. Her dad has season tickets. We're going to go check out the game, do a little bit of tailgating. And so I'm saying this to say we're going to be leaving on like Wednesday. And so that means I won't be home for Thursday. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to do like a super long episode on Sunday night. And then like at halfway through the episode be like, hey, if you want content for the rest of the week, stop right here and then, do the rest of the show at some point throughout the week whenever you want. I don't know if I'm going to do that or if I just do a normal episode on Sunday night and then maybe like Tuesday night is when I just tape something and then I just bank it, for a couple days. So, I mean, maybe if I do a super long episode, I release it in the middle of the week. Like if there's not an episode on, Sunday night or Monday morning, whenever these episodes usually go up, it'll be Monday morning. If there's not an episode, no, the show did not get canceled. We were not censored by the government, by the FCC. That's not what happened. It is not one of those instances where it's like, did Nick finally decide to rug pull the show? If there's not a show on Monday morning, just give it a day or two. I don't know what I'm going to do. Just be patient with me and we'll figure it out. I just wanted, I don't know. That's pretty much it. Just wanted to give you that update that something weird is going to happen next week. It may end up being that there's only one episode. I have no idea how my week is going to go next week, leading up to us leaving. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. And now let's get on with the rest of the show. So, hey, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? The Detroit Tigers moving on in the playoffs. I got good news, folks. The Detroit Tigers are moving on in the MLB playoffs. 3-game series against the Cleveland Guardians. The Detroit Tigers have officially won the series 2-1 after winning game 1, smoking game 2, and I mean coming alive in game 3 in a way that we haven't seen from this team in months. Going on to play Seattle. Now, lots of takes here, a million takes. Couple hours removed from the game ending, the series ending, Tigers moving on again, advancing in the playoffs to play the Seattle Mariners in the American League divisional series. So many takes here that it's impossible that I remember to say everything. I'm going to do everything that I can, and there's not a lot of structure to this. I'm just going to try to get into a flow state when I talk about this. So let's start from the top. Going into the series, we covered this about 5 days ago, about a week ago. Word to Bobby Shmurda. The Tigers, a month and a half ago, had a 15.5 game lead in the American League Central. As of 5 days ago, we were not too sure if they were even going to make the playoffs. They had the single worst collapse in the history of Major League Baseball in terms of a divisional lead, succumbing to the impossibly hot Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland, the long and short of it, ended up winning the division. The Tigers blew a 15 or 15.5? It's negligible. It doesn't matter. Game lead in the fucking division. And they lost the AL Central, despite being the best team in baseball for the first 3 months of the season. Unless you're a Mets fan. But that's a whole different thing. You know what? Fuck it. Let's get a takeout right there. Look, okay, Cleveland, goes from being like, a game under 500 to the hottest team in baseball. And it's not, it's close. It's either them or Seattle, right? The hottest team in baseball, and they win the damn division. Just to lose to the team and I'm not going to say that much mean stuff about Cleveland, honestly. And this isn't mean. This is just like literally what happened. Because I'm not going to dump on them. I'm not going to dump on the Guardians or their fans. Because this is just wild the way that this is played out, right? So, okay, they win the division. And then in a 3-game series at home, all 3 games, because that's how it works. I'm sorry. They win the division, all 3 games at home in the wild card series. That's how it works. You get to play all your games at home. They lose to the team that they came back on. Right? So if you're a Guardians fan, so it's like, if you're I don't know, like, I'm already fucking in the weeds with this. How do I make fun of the Mets in the way that that's where this is going, by the way. How do I make fun of the Mets? Because if you're a Guardians fan, it's like, we won the division, like, we're so hot right now, and then you lose to the team that you spent the last month and a half chasing. And so there's just such a gross taste in your mouth from that, right? And if you're a Tigers fan, you're like, fucking whatever, bro. Who cares how the regular season ended? Which was the sentiment around the clubhouse. You had been hearing and seeing from various players, or even AJ Hinch, the manager, like, they weren't really thinking about how the regular season ended. They were just like, look, we're here. We're in the playoffs. It sucks that we stumbled into this the way that we did. 5 days ago, as of this taping, we, weren't even sure that they were going to make the playoffs for sure. And it came down to a tiebreaker with Houston and Houston getting knocked out. And, okay, so Detroit gets to move on. And it's okay, and Detroit wins this series. And so there's this kind of back and forth of, it's like, well, there's no really back and forth. I was going to say, like, if you're a Guardians fan, Would you rather have won the division or have won this series? Obviously, you would have won this series. What are you talking about? Where I'm going with this and how I want to make fun of the Mets is just like, so who's the real loser here? The team that has this, a historic come-from-behind divisional win in the Cleveland Guardians, or the Tigers who were able to bounce back from this historic, the collapse. Somehow the real loser here is the New York Mets, who suffered an equally, if not more devastating collapse than the Detroit Tigers. The only reason it's more devastating is because they didn't get into the playoffs. At least the Tigers were able to stumble their way in because Houston shit the bed, right? The Mets did not have that to their advantage. So damn funny that the two teams who, you talk about the first 3 months of the season, the Tigers being the hottest team in baseball, it was them and the Mets, honestly. And then both of them collapse, and then just the way that it works out, I'm watering a lot of this down, but the way that it works out, the Tigers get in. So, sorry, not sorry that the Mets catch a stray here, but that's the funniest shit in the world. It's so funny. Mets fans just being so mad. This is supposed to be about the Tigers, bro. Let's start at the beginning. Game one, it's the Tarek Skubal game. I just bumped the mic there. Sorry about that. It's the Tarek Skubal game. He strikes out 14 batters. He's into what? We're in the 6th inning, and he's retired 10 in a row. He struck out 4 of his last 5. He's 88 pitches into his outing, and he throws a 3-pitch strikeout, 100 miles an hour, 101, 100 miles an hour. Go back to the fucking dugout. Go to your home. He's the single best pitcher I have ever watched in my entire life. And I don't even possess the vernacular to explain to you why. It's just when you watch him. I lived through Verlander. All of it. Everything about Verlander's career in Detroit, I remember all of it vividly. And there's just something about this guy, this Skubal guy. Look, man, any time that he's taken the bump this season, I swear to God, I have something to say about it. Right? And you can say, well, Nick, it's just the recency bias thing, and it's just because you're living through it right now that you're able to say this. I mean, JV won Cy Youngs, and I don't know. I'm not good with this with baseball off the top of my head. Did he win an MVP or two? I don't really remember. I know Miguel did, right? He won the Triple Crown and all this stuff. Verlander was the sickest freak I had ever seen in my life until this guy came along. It's the velocity. It's the command. It's the shit talking that he does. It's this is what Verlander didn't have. Not that he never had it, but I just don't think he had it to the extent that Skubal does. A hitter will know exactly what is coming. And not only will they not be able to hit the ball, they might not even swing. I mean, you catch one of these Skubal heaters up and in, go back to the dugout. Go the fuck home. I've never watched a pitcher in my life that makes me involuntarily swear as much as Skubal does. He had I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but he had one of those instances. It was actually similar to last year. There was an instance last year when they were playing Cleveland and Skubal was having one of those games. And as he was walking back to the dugout after an inning, what did he say to Cleveland fans? He was like, fuck you, I fucking do this shit or something like that. And it was Skubal's mom that got mad at him, and she was like, hey, I don't think you need to swear as much as you do. And then it was the same damn thing in game one of this series. He's walking back to the dugout right after a strikeout and sort of this, retiring 10 batters in a row and striking out 4 out of 5 batters near the tail end of that. He went back to the dugout and he said to the fans, I do this shit. It was sort of Amon-Ra St. Brown style. You know what I mean? When he got caught on the hot mic against Baltimore. Clear as day, the Amon-Ra hot mic thing is so funny. Man. And the fact that they almost blew that game in the 9th inning, how did that go? Jose Ramirez, J-Ram, that's what you guys call him, right? J-Ram hits a little chopper to I think it was to Javi, and then I think Javi ended up getting charged for the error. He had a sort of errant throw to Torkelson at first, and Torque couldn't scoop it, and then Ramirez just kind of rounds the base. Didn't he go from first to third on the error? Isn't that how that worked out? And so you have no outs in the bottom of the ninth inning. It's a 2-1 game, and you have Jose Ramirez. I mean, one of, if not the best hitter in all of baseball. And he's on third base, and him being a good hitter doesn't mean dick or balls about him being on third base. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with anything. But it's like, okay, so this is going to go to extras, and this is how it happens, and the Tigers are going to lose again, and they're going to blow another one of these just Scooble masterpieces because guys just couldn't hit the ball. And then the Vest just makes a play, and he gets Ramirez caught in a rundown between home and third. Oh my God! And then the long and short of it is that the Tigers escaped that game with a win. And then game 2, what was it, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? It might have been 100 runners that the Tigers left in scoring position in that game. And guys the bats just weren't on. Bats just weren't on. They were when it came to getting on base. And then when it came to actually what's the word I'm looking for? When it came to actually like delivering on getting guys to home, you have runners in scoring position. I think they were straight up like 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position in game 2. And then you have this avalanche in the bottom of the 8th, and Cleveland scores like 6 runs. Okay. I had turned the shit off already. By the time Naylor hit that home run, I already turned it off. So luckily I wasn't subject to that. And they lose game 2, and that sucked because it was Casey Mize' first taste of postseason action. We didn't get to see him in the postseason last year. I don't remember if he was still recovering from an injury. He wasn't. I don't think he was even on the playoff roster last year for the Tigers. I don't remember if it was because he was hurt or if it was like he had just come back, and I don't remember how that played out last year, other than I'm pretty sure he wasn't on the roster. We didn't get to see Casey Mize pitch in the postseason last year. And so for him to we finally get to see that from him, man. And he was great. He was great in game 2 until it was like the 4th inning, and he's at like 60 some odd pitches. He's only let up 1 hit, but it was the home run in like the 1st or 2nd inning. And so AJ Hinch, you know how he is with his lineups, and it's also just playoff baseball. I said lineups, I meant matchups, and it's also just playoff baseball. And that's just how it goes, right? Like the way that you use your pitchers in the postseason in Major League Baseball, it's like a completely different fucking sport across the board, honestly. The same way you could argue it with like pinch hitters and stuff like that. It's a completely different sport, playoff baseball versus regular season baseball. And so I completely get it, but it's hard not to think that AJ Hinch overmanaged and got into his head a little bit in that game, because it was the same, like 3 innings later, it's the top of the 7th. And I don't remember if it was 2nd and 3rd or 1st and 3rd or, who was on base. Well, we had 2 runners on, and Riley Green is coming up to the plate, and Cleveland goes to the pen, I think is how it worked out. And then Hinch is like, oh, well, Riley Green is coming up, but it's actually like we want a better matchup. I don't remember if it was he wanted lefty on lefty, righty on righty. I don't remember how that played out. And so I'm sorry, me recapping this, I'm not doing a great job of it. But the point of what I'm saying here is that AJ Hinch pinch hit Riley Green. And I'm just kind of like, in a moment where your team is like not on the ropes, but clearly it's not working in this game. The bats just are not on. It's pretty much a replay of what happened in Cleveland last year, right? Where you just spend a month being the hottest team in baseball, and then as soon as the postseason starts, you literally just can't hit the ball. I'm just kind of like, look, Riley Green's not going to win the MVP this year, but guys in that clubhouse have said this, like that's a guy who's going to get votes, right? That's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter on the entire team. And so I just think it feels like shit when you have runners in scoring position and you pinch hit that guy. It just sucked. I thought he overmanaged the shit out of game 2, and it bothered me. And I was the one who was texting all week. I said, if it goes to game 3 and Flaherty has to be on the mound, it's a wrap. I might not even watch the game because I didn't believe in him. I haven't believed in him all year. His last, 3 starts against Cleveland, he's got murdered. Or I think it was his previous 2, and this game was his 3rd in game 3. In like a 2-week span, Jack Flaherty had played Cleveland, pitched against Cleveland 3 times. I mean, damn, brother, could you have, you know what I mean? If you watch this game, you know what I mean? Could you have hoped for a better outing from Flaherty? No. And I think there really is something to be said also about the MVP of this series, the unofficial MVP of this series, who I think unequivocally has to be Javi Baez. For a team that the bats were not hot, they were ice cold up until that, was it the 7th inning? Top of the 7th inning when the Tigers, was it a 1-1 game? Yeah, it was a 1-1 game. Zach McKinstry leads off the inning, out. Javi Baez comes up, double, and then there's not an out for the next 8 batters. They bat around in the inning. Score 5 runs at 6-1 going into the 8th. I mean, you saw in that, again, I think it was the 7th inning, you saw better hitting inside of 1 inning from the Detroit Tigers than you've seen in 3.5 damn months. I don't know what happened. So glad that I bought my Dylan Dingler stock when I did. The second, and I swear to God, I can pull the texts. This would be an arbitrary thing for me to lie about, and I wouldn't do it to you at home, the listener. I wouldn't do this to you. The second that All-Star voting opened in Major League Baseball, I wasn't voting for Skubal. I wasn't voting for Riley Green. I wasn't voting for Javi Baez. I wasn't voting for any of these guys. I knew that they would get in. My job was to make sure that the signal caller, Dylan Dingler, gets in there. He was the single Tiger that I voted for the most for an All-Star appearance this year. And when he went yard in this game, I was wearing the same sweater that I'm wearing right now. Almost ripped it in half. Hulk Hogan style. Almost ripped this shit off like a damn tearaway, you know what I mean? Like a tracksuit. Almost tore that shit off. So happy for him. And I gotta tell you, man, I've been hard on the team for great reason. I mean, you think of any conceivable statistic coming into this series, the way that the Tigers closed the season, there's not a positive one. The Tigers are the first team in the history of Major League Baseball to lose the last 5 series that they played in the regular season and then go on to win a series in the playoffs. First team to ever do that. It is unquantifiable how bad they were to close out the regular season in the last 3 damn months. Unquantifiable unless, again, you're a Mets fan. You're going to keep catching these strays. Pop, pop, pop. Fuck the Mets. Well, not more than the Yankees, but you know what I mean. It's just funny. It couldn't have happened to a funnier team. Well, it could have. It could have happened to the Yankees, and it didn't. I was hard on this team even coming into this series, and I said, fuck it, whatever, bro. They don't even deserve to be here. To be honest with you, for the first 2 3/4 games up until that insane surge that we were just talking about late in Game 3, I felt the same way. I was like, just get this over with. Set me free. Set me free. My brother said the same thing. He said, if they lose this game, I'm free. Whatever. I'm like, finally, the burden of watching this team is over. And a part of you feels bad now that they pulled it off. I mean, now you just go on to play Seattle. And this is maybe where another take is like, look, baseball really is one of those sports, and I think this is maybe a take that I've said a couple times on this show before. Baseball and college basketball are very similar in the sense that it doesn't matter if you stink the way that the Tigers just stunk. If you get into the playoffs, or if you're in college basketball and you kind of half-ass your way through the conference schedule and for the regular season, and then you get to the conference tournament and you do well enough that the committee is give them an 8 or a 9 seed, maybe a 10 seed, something like that. I don't know, UConn, didn't they win under Jim Calhoun? Or no, I think it was Kevin Ollie at the time. They won a natty as an 8 or a 9 seed, didn't they? It's getting hot at the right time. That's what these two leagues have in common. Men's college basketball and Major League Baseball. And so now the question is okay, so the Tigers got cold at the absolute worst possible time. And then I don't know if that one singular inning is indicative of anything that we might see moving forward, because the truth is, up until the aforementioned Dylan Dingler home run that he hit in this game, The Tigers were the only team in Major League Baseball in the playoffs so far in this wild card round that had not hit a home run. And man, it's impossible if you weren't watching these games to quantify. Well, actually, it's not even that the bats, again, weren't working. It was in game 2 specifically. Like, guys were getting on base, which some of them were walks and whatever, hit by pitch, whatever. But, like, they just couldn't cash in, right? So I watched this team that went as cold as they were, but are they getting hot? Is that what this is? So I was so rude to them. And I was like, you guys don't deserve to be here. But then they got hot at the exact right moment. Exact right moment. In college basketball, in March Madness, it takes one shot. It's not even about the matchup. It takes one shot to just completely change the voodoo of your season. You know what I mean? That doesn't have to be at the end of the game. It could be 10 minutes into the damn first half. But it shifts the momentum in such a way that the inertia of that momentum just propels you. Is that what we just saw here? I'm not so sure. But, like, this is kind of how baseball goes, is where I'm going with this. We said at the top of this, there are fewer teams in baseball that are hotter, or were hotter, than the Cleveland Guardians or the Seattle Mariners. The latter of the two is who Detroit will be playing next. Now, if you trace this collapse from Detroit back, what was it? It was literally the series before the All-Star break that the Tigers were chasing. I don't remember if it was like 50 wins or 60 wins or, it was like an interval of 10 that if they won like 2 games in that Seattle series right before the All-Star break, they would have had the best record in franchise history they've literally ever had going into the All-Star break. And I wanted that shit so bad. That Mariners series was the most like, oh no, what's going on here? I think they scored I think Seattle in Detroit scored 30 runs in that series. And I swear 10 of them came in the 9th inning. I think it was a game on Apple TV, maybe like Scooble versus Luis Castillo. And in the 9th inning of that game was when I think Seattle scored like 7. In 1 inning, in the top of the 9th, they scored 7. Pretty sure Cal Raleigh actually had 2 home runs in that game too. So, very wordy way of just saying, look, and at that time, by the way, it didn't look like Houston was going to have the collapse that they did. So I was very much of the mindset that Seattle was going to be a wild card team. And then the way that played out, holy smokes, right? And they became one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in baseball, and if not in possession of the MVP of the American League. Aaron Judge and his 1.163 OPS, people are going to point to that. I just think this whole, I don't know, man. I think it's going to feel really fucking bad if Cal Raleigh doesn't win this MVP. Honestly, if a catcher hits 60 home runs, I don't care. I don't care if Shohei Ohtani, what was it last year? Was it the 40-40 club? Did he go 50-50 last year? I don't remember what it was. I don't care if damn Shohei Ohtani, if he was playing in the American League, went for 100. Well, shut up, Nick. That would be crazy. Shohei Ohtani hits 100 home runs and 100 stolen bases, but because a catcher hit 60 home runs, a catcher with a fat ass hit 60 home runs, I'm like, no, it has to be him. Shut up, Nick. No, I don't know. Aaron Judge has been doing this shit. Give it to Cal Raleigh. Give it to him. I don't care about the advanced analytics. Cal Raleigh goes yard. Saying all this to say, what's the funniest outcome here? The coldest team in baseball takes out the 2 hottest teams in baseball? Is that where we're going with this? That's what baseball is, man. That's what it is. You talk about getting hot at the right time. It's one thing if it happens in game 1 and then it's a 2 and they win the first 2 games and then it's over and then they move on. It's like, wow, they kicked the shit out of Cleveland. What if they sucked the whole series unless your name was Tarek Skubal? The pitchers, the bullpen, they weren't bad. The bats, I blame the bats in this series. I really do. I don't know. I don't know. What happens when they get hot at the end of game 3 when it's backs against the wall? If you don't do it right now, I don't know when you're going to do it. You know what I mean? Do I think they win a game against Seattle, and am I going to keep being hard on them? No, they won a series. It's two seasons in a row from this Tigers team that they've won a playoff series, and I would like to apologize to them because they clean slated the hell out of this thing. They really did. And they said, we don't care how it ended. I care how it ended. Me at home, personally, I do. I think it's embarrassing. But they were able to look past that. and they said, we're here. We're here. That's what matters, and let's see what we can do. They won the damn thing. Well, the series. That's what they did. Right? And so going into the Seattle series, no, honestly, I don't think that they're going to win. I honestly think there's a non-zero chance that they don't win a game. But I'm not ruling it out, and I'm not going to be hard on them if they don't. Because all things considered, I mean, just to reference what we were saying at the beginning of this, would you rather the Tigers have the divisional title and then have lost this series the way that Cleveland did? No. No, you would rather say, yeah, it stinks and is, I mean, horrifically embarrassing the way that we smoked the lead and losing the division. But in the end, who got their lick back, right? The Tigers. So going into Seattle, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm going to be scared the whole time. But I tell you what, I was scared for this whole series too. And before we move off of baseball, a lot of baseball at the top of this one. Holy smokes, folks. We have a recurring emailer on this show that I would like to shine a light on, because him and I have been emailing this entire week a couple times back and forth throughout the duration of this series. Longtime listeners of the Coping Hour may remember about 365 days ago right now when we had a lovely emailer, Nathan, emailing into the show, and Nathan works in the clubhouses in Cleveland. Now, Nathan, I hope I don't butcher too much about like what it is that you actually do. I hope if there are any disparities or whatever, that it's like whatever. It's negligible and it doesn't matter. So I believe his official title is like a clubhouse attendant. I don't know if it's like a ball boy, bat boy, like if he's just, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it is that Nathan does, but he works at Progressive Field in the opposing team's dugouts, right? This is as boots on the ground that you can possibly be in this scenario. And a year ago, when the Tigers and the Guardians were playing a series, he was giving me sort of the, hey, this is what it's like during the series. It was the coolest thing in the world, and we read some of those emails on the show, right? And so here we are again, pretty much exactly 1 year later, and we're doing it again. Nathan and I have been going back and forth this week, and it's been very cool to hear his perspectives. And I want to read, because I haven't read his final email. As the series concludes, he is, of course, a Guardians fan. Was also up on the he was up for he was on the All-Star ballot this year too. He was eligible to get sent to Atlanta as the representative for the Guardians, and then unfortunately for our friend Nathan, he sent me an email being like, hey, like tell people to vote for me. And then but like the time between him sending the email and the voting closing, I didn't have a show to record, so it sucked that I couldn't juice him. But then also the guy that got sent to Atlanta for the All-Star game was the Tigers kid. So I was like, well, I mean, it sucks. I felt so bad, but I was like, well, at least I won in the end of this whole thing. Would have been such a cool experience for him. So, him and I have been going back and forth, and I really want to highlight this. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. This is his final email from the series. I'm excited to see what it says. He's been it was funny. I don't know. I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but he was emailing me for game 2 and game 3. He was emailing me like 15 to 20 minutes before first pitch, like giving me a vibes check. And it was so cool to me, because I'm like, this is a dude who's like, I don't want to say involved in the game. The guy's not on the fucking diamond running the bases and all this shit. Like, he's not, But you know what I mean, and Nathan knows what I mean. Like, you're part of this. This is you're part of this. And it's so funny to me that a guy that's part of it is in the bathroom, like pretending to like poop before the game, and he's actually sending an email to me. Well, he sent one, and Nathan, I'm so sorry if I'm not supposed to say this, but it's really funny to me. 15 minutes before this game, and I won't go through all the emails because it's not personal, but it's at this point the series is over. Before this last game, he just says, They had sad country music playing all day in the clubhouse, so I don't know what that was about. Switched it about an hour pregame to the usual pump-up rap mix, so I guess there's a little something. But sad country music was definitely interesting. Nathan, I screenshotted that and I texted it to my brother and I was like, hey, this is my connect on the inside. And he's telling me that, oh, wait a minute. You work in the visitor. I'm just realizing this in real time. You work in the visitors clubhouse. So that was the Tigers doing this? Whoa. When I read that originally, I sent it to my brother and I was like, uh-oh, Cleveland's vibes are down. I forgot. You don't work. So was he talking about the Tigers here? Shit. Well, it didn't matter. I guess it didn't end up mattering. So this is the meat and potatoes. I haven't read his final email. I'm sorry, this has been very wordy. I haven't read his final email. Nathan said, game's over from 2 hours ago. Go Tigers, I guess. Great series. The real killer to me was Manzardo and the 5-6 hole hitters not making you guys pay for walking Jose every at bat. Jose had 4 to 5 walks in the series and only 1 run scored. When he got pitches to hit, he made a difference. But until Manzo made Detroit pay for it, they had no reason to keep pitching to him. Grabbed a few corks for you from the celebration. Happy to either mail them or save them in case you were thinking about coming to the Chicago stop on my band's tour next spring. Detroit and Seattle should be a great series. And then he attached pictures, right? So he had to be in the clubhouse when the Tigers were celebrating. He attached some photos of him in the locker room and outside on the field wearing like the big ski goggles that dudes wear when they're popping champagne dude, that's so cool. Man, that's so cool. Thank you for doing that, dude. Let's keep the mailing in our back pocket. Let's try to do something, dude. Even if I'm not able to go to your show, because realistically that may be a little bit hard for me to do. If you're in town for more than a day, let's try to get a drink or something, dude. Normally I would just email you about this, but I'm sorry for trying to work this out on the show. We'll correspond and let's try to work something out. And if we can't do that, thank you for doing that. Champagne corks from the Tigers beating Cleveland. That is such a thoughtful gesture, and thank you so much for that, dude. To what you say here, though, yeah, I mean, you can't pitch to that guy, man. You can't to Ramirez. You can't pitch to that guy. You can't. It's truly like it's a fear that. I mean, this is like when Miguel comes up to the plate, when Cabrera would come to the plate, or when like David Ortiz would come up to the plate, or Prince Fielder would come to the plate. It's just Albert Pujols. Oh my God, that's another one. Holy shit! You talk about nightmare fuel, Albert Pujols. Oh my God. That's Ramirez. That's J-Ram. That's him. I don't want to pitch to that guy. But you're right. I mean, but also story of my life. You saw game 2, brother. You were there. You saw what we went through. Brutal. And I just, what a cool, can I say this too? And I've been talking about this for so long, and I'm sorry. And I may be I may fumble this delivery, but this is really hitting me in real time in a really raw way. It is guys like Nathan, that email into the show, and it makes me very thankful for the relationship that I have with this show, because it's so cool to me that I'm able to watch a Tigers Guardians game in the playoffs, knowing that, like, again, not that I have a man on the inside, like, not like that, but you all just have such unique stories to tell. And in instances like this, I'm so thankful that I get to sort of be a springboard for those stories and not like amplify them. Because again, I think, Nathan, for people that aren't us, like, again, I'm not reading all of our emails, and you're not like divulging that much information. We're just having like very, normal conversations about the game. But like things like Nathan, like he's a guy who is like just a normal guy, but he has such a cool job and he's a listener of the show. And so I get to see this like super unique perspective. And then, you guys get to use me as a vehicle to, hear about his experiences. Or like 3 weeks ago, this is a weird, this is a weird example to follow up with, but 3 weeks ago, Charlie Kirk gets murdered, and there's a guy who listens to the show who goes to Utah Valley University. What are the odds of that? And his first instinct 5 minutes after the murder was to email into the show. You know what I mean? It's things like that. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm so thankful for stuff like that, and it's so damn cool. And I just think, you all have such unique stories, and I don't know how to say this. It's so cool to me. It is so cool to me. So Nathan, thank you, brother, for that, and we'll be in touch. It's such a great guy, such a down to earth guy. But okay, folks, I think that does it for baseball. So what do you say we talk about a little bit of something else? NBA Media Day around the league has sort of collectively happened this week. And there aren't, honestly, that many. I don't know. Usually during NBA Media Day, you see a good handful of quotes and whatnot that kind of do nasal exhales. Maybe that's what we do. You want me to recap some nasal exhales that I saw from Media Day? The first one that I saw was in Houston. Steven Adams was being asked about Kevin Durant. And I guess Steven Adams took KD on a fishing trip. And KD, like, caught a tuna, like a yellowfin tuna, which is, like, for those of you who maybe don't know fishing at all, like, I don't know. Tuna, very, very, I don't know how hard they are to, like, to actually hook, but to actually reel them in, those are some motherfucking fighters, and you might be there for a damn hour, you know what I mean, trying to reel. You get one of them big boys, that's a hard fish to reel in, right? That's like a dream fish, a dream catch for a lot of people, right? I guess KD, like, reeled one in with Steven Adams, and he was kind of like, yeah, like, whatever. Steven Adams was like, no, this is a big deal. And KD was just kind of like, whatever. And it was just, you know what's funny is the way that I'm explaining this is like, that's actually not that interesting of a story at all. And why is that funny? I guess it's not. It's only funny and like endearing if you hear Steven Adams actually tell the story. Because I really believe from the bottom of my heart, he's one of the top, it's unknowable what the number would be, 3 coolest dudes that have ever played in the NBA. There was a picture that got posted. Who was in the photo? Is Cam Whitmore is he still in Houston? That doesn't sound right. Who the fuck was in the picture? I remember KD was in the picture and there were 2 other players that I'm not thinking of right now. And they were just kind of like doing a media day, like sort of like sitcom style, like arm on one another, like all laughing at each other. Just a normal picture of like 3 dudes just like hanging out like during media day. And Steven Adams like commented the pride flag on the... That's so funny. Another thing I saw, this was a bit of a jump scare, honestly. Did you guys see the clip? The Mavs, like social person handed Cooper Flagg, an unopened pack of basketball cards from the year he was born, which I believe was 2006. And it was like, the gimmick was they wanted Cooper Flagg to open the pack and then see like, how many of these players do you know? And like, I don't know, give us like a 5 to 6 words on what you think about that player, right? That's a really fun idea, actually. I think it's a really cool idea. And so it's like, okay, Cooper Flagg opens this pack, and really a lot of the guys, he had no idea who they were, but the 2 craziest ones, the 2 that I thought were the most foul, the first card that in the pack that he saw, he had no idea how to say it. It was fucking Hedo Turkoglu, bro. What? I don't know how to say this without sounding like an asshole. You're the first pick in the draft. You went to Duke. You're like a sick hooper for real. Really? Turkoglu? Okay. I mean, I don't know. He hasn't been in the league in 10 damn years, so and Cooper Flagg would have been like 10, so okay. This was the one that I thought was sickening. He goes through a few cards. The Big Z. Zydrunas Ilgauskas. No idea. He had no idea who that was. Oh. I mean, between both of those guys, right? Like, you talk about losing recipes, right? Cooper, you and I are white. These are guys that we got to know. If you're Turkish, are you... Because Turkoglu is... Well, he's Turkish. Is it like an Italian situation where you're like, actually, I'm a minority? Is that what that is? Because they have it's like Greek guys. Like they're white, but they have like a sort of olive to their skin, and so they could pass for something else. I don't know what I'm gonna assume that's probably what, I don't know. I mean, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, unquestionably a white man. Not only a white man, is he the best center that LeBron ever played with? You might be screaming at the radio right now, Anthony Davis. Does he count? He doesn't want to play center. Hasn't that been his whole thing forever? Is that he didn't want to play center? I think of him as a power forward. If you want to lump them in, I'm sure if I looked at Basketball Reference, I'm sure Big Z's minutes between the 4 and the 5 were, well, I don't know. It was kind of it's a way different league 20 years ago when he was really doing his thing. 18 years ago when he was really doing his thing. You know what I mean? At the very least, Zydrunas Ilgauskas was easily the best center. Well, Chris Bosh. Well, but that's another one that was kind of like a 4 or 5. Zydrunas Ilgauskas is one of the 3 best centers, big men, that LeBron James has ever played with. And not only that, he was the original. Now, is it fair of me to be pissed off about this? Not really, because when did the Big Z retire? Probably 2012 maybe? So Cooper Flagg was 8? Yeah, I guess he doesn't need to remember him, but I don't know, respect your elders? That's kind of okay, so I was born in 1998. If I opened a pack of basketball cards from 1998, how many of those guys would I really know? You know what I mean? How mad can I really be about this? But maybe it was so shocking to me just because I was I'm not old. 27 isn't old, but I'm just you do kind of get to a point in your life where you're oh, there are people in this world who are so much younger than me that just have a completely different world than I do. And so the Turkoglu thing and the Zydrunas Ilgauskas thing, it's those are that's you know what? I don't think it's acceptable because it's if you were, because it's your position. I don't know. What position is Cooper even going to be fucking playing this year? Who knows? 3, 4? I don't know. It's kind of if I got drafted in the NFL and I was a corner and I didn't know who Cooper DeJean was. He's the original. You know what I mean? You got to, although that's Turkoglu and Ilgauskas aren't the originals. They're not the original white guy centers. They haven't, 50 years before that, white guys were, it's not really the same thing. No, that was pretty crazy though. What else was there? Well, was there an explanation as to, a real explanation as to why Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy, the general manager of the Golden State Warriors, didn't do media day? Did I see that right? They just completely skipped out on it. They didn't do anything. I don't even know if Joe Lacob said anything, which isn't that uncommon. Owners don't typically, show up at media day. The assumption was that it had something to do with Kuminga, but the day that the Warriors had their media day, it was the following day, which I think was, as I'm taping this, I believe was Wednesday, the 1st of October. I think that was the final day that a player could accept their qualifying offer. So there was a clock on what was going to happen with Kuminga, right? And so the theory was that they just weren't there because they just didn't want to take questions about Kuminga. And then within 12 to 24 hours, he had signed a new deal. I don't have it in front of me. I honestly didn't remember that I was going to bring this up. It was somewhere in the ballpark of 2 for $50 is the deal that Kuminga ended up getting with Golden State. And so he's going to stay with them. And so basically he gets paid $24.5 million, some odd change, this season to play for Golden State and to just show what he can do to try out for a team either at the deadline or next summer, because he'll be eligible to be traded. He won't be eligible to be traded until January 30th, but that still does give him a 2-week window to get moved at the deadline, if that is what Golden State ends up wanting to do, and if Jonathan Kuminga plays well enough that a team wants to do that. It would just mean that Steve Kerr has to actually play him, but if the incentive is that he gets Jonathan Kuminga off of his fucking team, I think he will do that, because it has been the single biggest open secret in basketball for the last 2 years how much Steve Kerr hates this guy, hates him, and the only reason that he's still there is because Joe Lacob, the owner, loves him, right? And so they've been trying to get teams to overpay for him for the last few months, and just nobody would bite. And what I thought was the most interesting thing that came out of this whole Kuminga saga and him eventually, signing this contract extension is when Shams, he breaks the news and he fires off his little tweet. And at the end of his tweet, he says something to the effect of, this contract has been drawn up in a specific way that next summer it can be ripped to shreds and renegotiated. Torn to shreds, ripped to shreds, something to that effect. That language was in the tweet, which I thought was interesting. And it just goes back to, it's like when a coach gets fired. We do that thing on this show where it's a coach was dismissed or mutually agreed to part ways. The language in these tweets does not mean nothing. Shams is very deliberately, these words mean something, right? So and it's so transparent what that means. But again, it's been such an open secret, the idea that Golden State, somebody's agent, some executive within the Warriors organization fed to Shams that like, yeah, this is designed so that next summer we can be like, get the fuck out of here. Go away. You're unrestricted. If we lose you for nothing, that's fine. Get the hell out of here. Go away. Very funny. I'm happy for him. It sucks that he's in the spot that he's in, but then there's also the piece of you that's like, well, if you can't pass and you can't shoot and you can't defend and you can't rebound and you can't tie your shoes and you can't, you know what I mean? You can't call an Uber to get to the stadium, and what can you do? You know, how bad do you really feel? Well, but it doesn't feel good to not be wanted no matter what. Right. And so, because it's clearly not just Golden State that doesn't want him. I mean, there are teams that would take him, but it goes back to Golden State wanting other teams to overpay for him. That it just never really worked out. So, okay, Kuminga's going to be in Golden State for a little bit. They did end up also picking up Al Horford a couple of weeks ago. We didn't cover that on this show because the hell am I supposed to say about that? What else did I see from Media Day? Nothing too crazy. I mean, the Pistons Media Day was pretty tame. There was a moment where one of our social media people asked Bobby Klintman. I don't know how many of you out there know who he is. I really like him. Summer League last year, he was really fun. I didn't watch Summer League this year, but I saw his clips, and I was like, yeah, it looks about as good as he didn't play a ton last year. I think this should be his second year this year. One of our like social media admins asked Bobby Klintman about like his pregame ritual. He's a big man, about his pregame routine. And he was on some damn, I got to eat a chicken Alfredo before every single game. The hell? Tell me that you don't get minutes without telling me that you don't get minutes. You know what I mean? What are you, fucking Michael Scott? What do you mean you're eating chicken Alfredo before a basketball game? That's insane. I don't care if you're eating it for lunch and the game isn't until 8 p.m. That's fucking insane. That's crazy. But also, like, I don't know, these are athletes, and I guess they got to get carbs, but that's also the Michael Scott. That's what he did, and then he ended up having like diarrhea in the middle of a marathon. Okay, that's cool. I don't know what else was there. Zion. You seen this? You heard about this? It's a contract year for Zion Williamson. The rumors are true. The pictures that you've been seeing all offseason about Zion losing weight, they're not just pictures. It's not just fiction, and nobody made it up. It's real. It's very real. Skinny Zion is here. He was in Australia the other day. This clip circulated of a fan, having an interaction with Zion. Zion Williamson is in that phase of him getting skinny where that motherfucker's going to have his shirt off all the time. You know what I mean? To really show what he's got going on. Yeah, it's not pictures, bro. That's real. That's real. Like, there have been, I don't know, like Luka has also lost some weight. Like real, well, but he's lost weight, but then also put it back on in like the quote unquote good way. Like there's like a lot of tone to what Luka has this year. Whereas like Zion just looks really thin. I'm not here to do the body shit, like whatever. No, he just got really skinny and whatever. He looks good. It's a contract year. So you imagine this is when you'll see Zion do the thing where he plays 60 games. We actually got an email about Zion. I don't remember exactly what it was about, so why don't we do that? copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. This one comes to us from Aiden. Aiden, welcome to the show. Subject line is Zion to the Bulls? Huh? Hey, Nick, how's it going? Just watching a Kenny For Real video, and he mentioned how he has always wanted Zion to play for the Bulls. As a Bulls fan and a big Zion fan, I was surprised that I had never thought of this idea before. Zion in a Bulls jersey just seems right to me. I can't really explain why, but it feels right. Got me thinking. What other players in the league are playing for the wrong team / wearing the wrong jersey? And what jerseys should they be wearing? Hit me with some good ones. He said at the bottom here, in parentheses, also, Modest Buzelis is going to have a breakout year this year, and the Jags are going to go on a playoff run. I actually think the Jacksonville take, you might not be wrong about that. I think they may have some, like a playoff run means they might win like the wild card game, and then get stomped by Buffalo or Kansas City or, whoever it ends up being. But yeah, it could happen. That I actually agree with you on that so far. The Travis Hunter thing has been weird so far this year. He's made some really nice catches this year so far. I haven't seen any, at least highlights of him, like clamping anybody on defense. I'm sure maybe it's happened on like a possession or two, but I do actually agree with you. Jacksonville kind of frisky this year. Zion in a Bulls jersey. Again, I don't disagree with that, actually. I see that. I see the vision on that. And also, for the sake of the city, look, bro, I live here. Like, I have a pretty good pulse on, like, what the capital R real Bulls fans, think. The homegrown Bulls fans. They don't get, like, there's nothing going on with this team. And I think that resurgence of, like, having a guy to get excited about could be fun for them. But that's not even the point. We're not even here to talk about the fit or anything like that. This isn't a Kenny for real video. You know what I mean? This is the coping hour. We're just kind of like, yeah, he would look cool in the jersey, and so I think he should go there. Because I completely agree with that. This isn't what you were saying. This isn't about the NBA, but just as a quick aside, right before I started taping this, I watched the first quarter of 49ers Rams Thursday Night Football, and I'm looking at the Rams, and I'm looking at the Niners, and I'm like, you know who would look sick in both of their uniforms, home and away? Amon-Ra. Can you imagine Amon-Ra St. Brown in a Niners jersey? Look, Lions fans, blank check. I want him here forever. I'm not trying to, I'm not doing the thing, I want him here forever. Let's just be real about it, though. First of all, he would look sick in pretty much any uniform. Like, he just got that look to him. Like, he was just look cool in anything. Amon-Ra in a Niners uniform in that Los Angeles Rams blue. Sheesh. Pretty sick. Like, maybe I'll do that in Madden, but then, like, not save the franchise. I just want to, like, see what he looks like. You know what I mean? I don't know, something like that. Who in the NBA is in the wrong jersey? It's hard to just ask that question off the top of my head because I didn't remember that you were going to ask that. Sorry about that. Let's just try to name a guy. Wembanyama. Like, where else could I see? What other jersey could Wemby be wearing? I could see him in, like, a Pels uniform, actually. Maybe the easier question is, what uniform would he look the worst in? Miami would look bad. That's not a Miami guy at all. Could you imagine Wemby and Bam? What does that look like? How does that even work? Do I call Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, right now, and I'm like, hey, Jacob, will you spend 5 minutes breaking down how the hell that would even work? No, because I would feel so bad because he would actually maybe give it some thought. And I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. I would just be like, and then I'd hang up the phone. I don't give a shit how that would work. It would look cool. Those are two huge dudes. There is something out there about how Wemby grew again. And now he's like 7'5"? Huh? Because somebody posted there was a picture last year at Media Day of him standing next to one of their social media admins. And then this exact same woman he was standing next to this year at Media Day, he definitely, like, same perspective for the most part and everything. Like, there was no funny business going on. He did look like he was an inch or two taller. What the hell? What did he do in China? There it is. Take alert. Wow, 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 wow. Take alert. Take alert. Do you remember when Kobe Bryant blew out his knee and then he went to Germany and he got, like, fake bones and, like, adrenochrome and shit like that? And then he came back to the States. Was it his Achilles when this happened? What did he go there for? He got adrenochrome and he got fake bones and he came back and people were like, what the hell just happened in Germany? What did Kobe do in Germany? I think Victor Wembanyama went to China not to study with monks and to live in a monastery, but actually to participate in experimental gene therapy. And that's why he got bigger. That's how that happened. Who's another player I could see in a different jersey? No bullshit. I couldn't see Cade wearing anything else. I'm not doing Homer shit. I couldn't see Anthony Edwards. That's not true. Anthony Edwards in a Laker jersey. You guys see him at Media Day just blasting off, not caring at all about the shit that he's saying and just kind of saying anything. Talking about Jared Vanderbilt and, like, all this. So funny. He's so damn funny. Talking about advice that he's gotten from, like, Michael Jordan. He's just the funniest guy, man. He's so funny. I saw this thing on Reddit where it was like, it was under one of those clips that Anthony Edwards had at Media Day where he just said something hilarious. And somebody was like, honestly, I would vote for him for president if he ran in 2028. And it had like 500 upvotes. And I was like, what the fuck is this all about? You really want Anthony Edwards to be president of the United States? Really? Baby mamas across the country would be fucking scared. Because he would just, like, absolve all of the what's the word, like, all of the child support payments. It's gone. The debt is gone. It's like there's a rumor out there that the United States government is going to like transfer all of the national debt to like a crypto cloud and then like devalue crypto. So that way the debt just kind of like evaporates. That's what Anthony Edwards would do to child support payments. That shit would not exist anymore. Alimony doesn't exist anymore. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about alimony. He hasn't been married, but, you know, he's just got to cover his bases, future tense. I could see him as like a Laker. I could see him as a, I don't know. There was a time, isn't it crazy to think that there was a time where it was impossible to think that Kevin Durant wasn't in Oklahoma City? I mean, that was literally 9 years ago. It was almost a decade ago. And since then, Golden State, Brooklyn, Phoenix, played for 4 teams since then. That's crazy. It sickens me. I'm sick to my stomach that this is year 8 for LeBron in Los Angeles. I thought this was like I didn't realize we were doing this forever. I thought, you know what I mean? Like when this happened originally, I didn't think we were going to be doing this forever. This is it. I mean, this is it. He's just in Los Angeles for the rest of his career, which I just think stinks. I'm not answering your question at all, bro. I'm sorry. Because it's a good one. This is a good question. I wish I focused on this more. Maybe I'll think about this and we'll revisit it in another episode. Is that okay if we, because I kind of just riffed about other shit. Is that okay if can we put a pin in this? And then if I have to do an extra long episode, I will spend more time thinking about this and I will give you a more comprehensive list. Does that make sense? Is that okay? All right, let's do that. Hey, I've given you guys an hour of ball. You want to do something else? You know where I'm going. I mean, hey, you've probably seen the timestamps. I give you an hour of ball. Now it's my time. Now we're on Nick's time. And now Nick gets to talk about what he wants to talk about. Something has happened. An email has hit the inbox that some of you have been waiting for 3 weeks. There is nobody that gets more questions about them than MAGA Jared. Nobody sends in more emails about a different emailer on this show than they do MAGA Jared. Namely, when Charlie Kirk was killed, 10 emails in the first 2 days about when MAGA Jared says something, you have to read it. When MAGA Jared finally gives his take, you have to read it. You have to say it. We have to know. Is he okay? We got to know. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it happened. He's left various comments on videos, but you guys don't know what his handle is on YouTube. Only I do. It's D's Huevos, which is D's nuts. So if you ever see that, his profile picture is of like damn Clippy, the little paperclip guy who's like always helping you with stuff on your computer. So if you ever see him mixing it up down there, saying some racist shit. No, I'm just kidding. Jared does not say racist shit in the comments. Or in my email, Jared, you don't say racist shit in my email either, despite your MAGA Jared moniker. Bro, he sent in the email. He did it. We have the take. I haven't read it yet. I don't know what it says because I've just been salivating trying. As soon as I started to read it, and then when I realized where he was going with it, I was like, he did it. So, ladies and gentlemen, copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. MAGA Jared, the official take. He's broken his silence. Charlie Kirk died, as of this taping, 22 and a half days ago. MAGA Jared finally crawling out of his hole to let the Coping Hour constituents know where he stands on the whole thing. Okay? I can't wait to read this. I've been waiting so long for this. Okay, Jared, welcome back, brother. I'm having the exact type of week with the baby as you. So over the crap. That was my... Oh, fuck, dude. Oh, man. Let me speed ahead here. Oh, let's go to the Charlie. Jesus, you got some shit going on, man. I'm sorry. Weird start to the email. Sorry, folks. I kind of stumbled through the first part. Let's get to the Charlie Kirk. He's got some stuff going on. I don't want to air his shit out. Okay, so I already gave most of my Charlie Kirk comments on various comments over the last few weeks. Basically, we are on the same page about his whole type of content, although I think he is at least not the asshole Steven Crowder is. Ironically, when Steven Crowder blew up doing the Change My Minds is when I got sick of him. He had been doing a small show for years before that, and I had watched for a long time because he was a pretty funny guy, but he just got way too douchey. But anyways, Charlie Kirk is the most run-of-the-mill, basic bitch conservative ever. He's the type of person you can hear one of his opinions and you immediately know every position he takes on every political topic out there. He is even pretty normal for Canadian conservatives, according to my mother-in-law, who's from Ontario. Don't know where the emailer was from, but it sounds like he doesn't have a lot of conservative people he knows. What emailer? It's unknowable who Jared may have been talking about in that. I'm trying to think of emailers that have sent in shit about Charlie Kirk. Well, we got a million of them, but it's ones that we've run. I don't know who Jared might be talking about there. Just to break it for a second. Yeah, actually, that is true. People underrate the Canadian conservatives. They also get very, very wild. But let's get back to it. I will say my best take. Here we go, folks. I will say my best take was that the mistake the guy who shot Charlie Kirk was that he wasn't hot enough to at least become idolized by a bunch of chicks. Or that hopefully now copycat killers will start assassinating high-profile people instead of kids, because news agencies will show their names and faces in that case. It will be worse for the country politically, but for the average person, it will make our lives way safer. I may have to read that again because I may have lost myself there. But let's keep going with it. But I also think that he made the mistake of picking someone who half the country somewhat agrees with, and who even more of the country at least sees him as white noise. If you want to make political change with murder, you have to really pick people like the CEO, who everyone is at least like, well, that's not the way to go about making your point, and he should definitely go to jail. But at least we agree about the point that he was making. For those who don't know, Jared's talking about Brian Thompson, the United Health CEO that got, I'm not going to say murdered, but he got killed. He got killed, was it last December? I mean, he got murdered. Last December. Allegedly, it was Luigi Mangione. Nope, that was I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I don't know who this beautiful guy is. Which also goes into Jared's point is, I mean, the Reddit girlies are obsessed with Luigi Mangione, and nobody cares that he did what he did. I think Jared is completely right about this, because the cause, at the end of the day, is so noble, and it transcends politics. I mean, healthcare in this country that is like the one thing that, it's really not. I would be naive if I said it's the one thing that we can all agree on. It's really not, because you have an entire sector of the country who will be like, well, how come I got to pay extra taxes just because you got diabetes and you need insulin or you need to go to the hospital? It's like, well, maybe that thinking is exactly why, not exactly why exclusively, but maybe that type of thinking is, how come I have to help you out, neighbor? Is maybe why we're in sort of the melting pot that we're in now. But anyways, back to the email. By picking someone like Kirk, comrades set, quote unquote, the cause back so much. This really is going to mobilize people who normally wouldn't care about politics, and going to radicalize people who were somewhat normal conservatives. Yeah, I know I'm way late to the party about this. Had this... God damn, Jared. I'm not reading this part either. Man, you got some stuff. I don't want to air your stuff out, man. I hope you're okay. I hope you guys are okay at home. That sucks what you're going through. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's for those at home. I'm not going to read this. Like, this is another thing. He's got some stuff going on, and he's sort of just explaining why he's so late to this. I'm really sorry, Jared. I really from the bottom of my heart hope things start getting better for you, dude. This is really hard. You say at the end of this, and yeah, I think the ICE stuff has gone too far in some places, but I'm really torn, because in America where this is produced is an America that I want to live in. And he attached a YouTube video here. Let me just very quickly see what the title of this is. It's like a ICE recruitment ad, but if it was Pokemon, we're not going to play that on the show, Jared. Okay, so the genesis of this is you don't give a shit about it at all, right? You don't care about it, and then your take is essentially what? That he made the mistake of picking someone who half the country agrees with, and you think it sets the cause back because it mobilizes people who normally wouldn't care about politics. I completely agree with that part. That's something we've talked a little bit about on this show, is the amount of people who are near and dear to my heart that otherwise don't care about anything political at all, who, to your point, have been very politicized by this. And the people who had no idea who he was just see the images of, his neck turning into that. And it invokes a reaction out of people. And all those people are left with is, oh, but he had a wife. but he had kids. Yeah, he monetized hate is what he did. And so, I don't know. Look, Jared, I'm just going to try to keep this about you because I was talking to my mom about this the other day too. I go, hey mom, I'm on the phone with her. I go, I know you didn't know who he is, but I go, what do you think about all this? What do you think about all this Charlie Kirk stuff? The first thing my mom says is, Nicholas, I don't really understand, like, why is it different than any of the other murders that happen in the United States every single day? I said, that's a really interesting question. Now, the truth is I could give her a very thorough answer on why it's different, but I thought it was an interesting perspective because it is something that we also talked about on this show, where because the images were able to accompany the message, again, invokes a very, very strong reaction out of people. And I think that it's really interesting that you're starting to see people like Hassan, a really popular, very left-leaning Twitch streamer, like pulling out of TwitchCon because he doesn't want to be, the target of one of these attacks and put innocent bystanders in danger. And you can say that that's very like, oh, that's so, I don't want to go out there. I don't know. People have given him a lot of shit for it, but like, he's sort of been out and about before and has gotten some shit that's happened to him. I just think it's maybe a responsible thing to do. I don't really give a shit one way or another, but there is kind of this like lingering like, so what is the, like, what's the fallout from this? And that's kind of what Jared's saying. And so I'm just trying to like piggyback off of that is like, do you think that there will be some sort of a retaliation effort, which is something, I don't know, we've hypothesized on this show. And I think you're seeing a lot of people in the news talking about like, well, in the since this has happened, there's been like 46 mass shootings and all this stuff and this horrible act of violence that happened at an LDS church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, which is a place that I'm very familiar with. And I grew up playing football against Grand Blanc, and I would go to basketball games when our team would play against Grand Blanc. I'm very, very familiar with Grand Blanc, and that attack was very, very close to home. A man driving his truck into a church and shooting it up and killing 2 people and injuring 8 others and burning the church to the ground. And that was really, really hard for me to read. And I think that there's also sort of a bit of a concentrated effort to point out those shootings. I'm like, yeah, Doug, like shit like that happens. Like, I don't think it's really the fallout of the Charlie Kirk thing, like all that stuff specifically. Maybe it is. I don't know. I guess maybe it is. But Jared's point being that Tyler Robinson isn't hot enough to have killed Charlie Kirk. First of all, Jared, I think it's really interesting because you saying that I think tells us and the audience something. Well, me and the audience something, which is that you believe the story. You believe the FBI story that Tyler Robinson is the one that killed Charlie Kirk. That's what you're sticking with. Okay, maybe he was. I don't know. I think that everything about this FBI investigation has been shoddy at best. I think it's weird when the director of the FBI is live tweeting the investigation within the first several hours of it happening and then has to backtrack on a lot of the shit that he says because it doesn't make any goddamn sense and he's been wrong about a lot of it. I say wrong. Technically, we don't know, but like there's shit that is like, I think it is very strange that they have completely torn apart that little venue that he was at, if that's what you want to call it, that little pavilion. They've like torn up all the grass and they've replanted it and they've like repaved the little like tunnel / like walkway thing that was right behind Charlie where they picked him up and they carried him to the car, that little tunnel thing, that little overpass thing that they've like retiled that and repaved it, and they've torn the whole damn crime scene up, and they've just like they've changed it. They've scrubbed the whole crime scene. It's very, very strange, and we're not allowed to see an autopsy, and we're not allowed to see any of this stuff. And I gotta tell you, folks, you want to do something right now? I'm bumping the mic. Sorry about that. You want to do something right now? You want to bring back a segment that we haven't done in a really, really long time? Because the truth is I've just tried to stop like being as in the weeds as I used to be, but this is just completely. The QAnon flavor of the week. What do you say we bring that back for a couple minutes? Okay. For those of you who don't know, maybe you weren't listening to the show back when we were doing the QAnon flavor of the week. QAnon is one of the more influential conspiracies in the history of America. And the genesis of it was, it started during Trump's first presidency. It was a guy in the Philippines We now know that it was a guy in the Philippines. The genesis of QAnon was this idea of politicians who like eat babies and will be young forever, and this conglomerate of global elites that control the entire world, and they have sex rings and they eat kids and all of this shit. A lot of this stemmed from QAnon and in American culture, and it's just sort of expanded. And it didn't start there. I shouldn't say that, but it's certainly shown a very bright light on it. And QAnon is sort of since not really, Q hasn't really posted anything in a damn, I mean, when was J6? Almost about 5 years ago. QAnon flavor of the week. Well, when we do this segment, it just means that we get sick and disgusting and wild with a conspiracy that we don't necessarily believe is true. But I gotta tell you, man, you talk about who killed Charlie Kirk. If it wasn't Tyler Robinson, and I don't necessarily know that I believe that it was, I think that whole thing is parallel construction, because you're telling me that guy got on the roof, assembled a rifle, discharged the rifle from about 150 to 200 yards out, perfect shot, disassembled the rifle, put it into his bag. The FBI said that it didn't fit, so he got off of the roof, reassembled the rifle, threw it into the woods, and then they released this transcript of texts between Tyler Robinson and his alleged roommate. I believe the roommate is in some way ostensibly real. The texts were in no fucking way real at all that they released. And I don't know. I think it's strange that we don't really get to Tyler Robinson reportedly not cooperating with local and federal authorities. No fucking shit. They just literally picked this guy up off the street and were like, yeah, you seem like you could have done this. You seem like you fit the profile. They can't really get the story straight on like how exactly he got caught, who told who, and who reported who, and who went to the police, and who said, all this stuff. We don't really know. Here it is. And so here it is, the QAnon flavor of the week. Who killed Charlie Kirk? They're saying it was his damn lav mic. They're saying it's not a bullet. They're saying it was his lav mic that was on his shirt, bro. If you watch the video, which if you haven't, I do not recommend that you do, but most of you listening to this will have seen the video. He has a lav mic on, right? Which to me looks really bad. You're already using a handheld mic. What was that, like a Shure SM fucking 75 or some bullshit? Why are you also wearing a lav? Okay, whatever. Well, these people are going frame by frame, and the second that you see what you believe is a bullet going through his neck, his shirt kind of pops up like this. Like the inertia of the bullet kind of like whips his shirt open. But what they believe happened is that his lav exploded and like sent some shrapnel into his neck is what happened, right? It's been bothering me so much that there are real people who think this. But then, and I still don't believe it, but I am going to like play along with it for 2 seconds. But then I remembered that, first of all, these are the same people who believe that Israel is behind this, right? They believe that this was a hit by the Mossad. And do I believe that? That's a whole different thing. Maybe we'll get to that in just a second. Motherfuckers do kind of be treating Israel like it's Dinkelberg. You know what I mean? Dinkelberg. Something bad happens in the world and people immediately point their fingers to Israel. Now, granted, in the last 2.5 years especially, or rather 2 years since October 7th happened, yeah, that definitely has been a little bit, they have definitely been a bigger character, and I don't blame people for that. But the reason that if you're going to say it was Israel and you believe that it was the lav mic, I don't think that's actually that insane to think, is just what's the fucked up part, because of this. What was it, a year ago? A little over a year ago? Remember when all of those Hezbollah guys, their pagers exploded? And the question was, how did the Mossad do that? How did they plan this coordinated attack that at the exact same time, all over Lebanon, these pagers explode at the exact same time and kill dozens, hundreds, injure hundreds of people? Well, we learned that how they did it was, now Hezbollah and a lot of these, depending on what your perspective is, whether you want to call them resistance fighters or terrorists, I guess really that also boils down to perspective. From Hezbollah's perspective, yeah, they're resistance fighters. But anyways, the reason that these guys don't use smartphones is obviously because you're dealing with the most sophisticated intelligence apparatus in the entire world, and so if you're using modern day technology, that is infinitely easier to tap into and to meddle with. And so if you go a little bit more Stone Age, it's harder for anybody to track you, trace you, or to like fuck with your shit, right? So these guys use beepers. They use pagers. And Israel and the IDF and the Mossad, they knew this, right? So what they did is they found out who the manufacturer was. They found out it was a manufacturer in Taiwan that was making these pagers. And while there was a shipment of these beepers going from Taiwan to Lebanon, at some point in between, Israel, some agents got their hands in there and switched up the batteries, and nobody knew that anything happened. And the shipment of these pagers gets to Lebanon, and nobody knew that there were faulty batteries in these things. There were bombs in these things that were rigged to blow. And I'm watering a lot of this down, right? But the point of it is that if you're able to meddle with such, I don't want to call it primitive technology, it's still pretty modern technology, but you know what I mean? It's a lot harder to actually pull that shit off. I'm just saying, is it that crazy? Is it that crazy to think that they could rig a lav mic? I don't know. Yes, I think it is, but there is a precedent for it. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, this is a very wordy way of I don't want to platform a super dangerous conspiracy theory. Who gives a shit? It's not that dangerous of a conspiracy theory. It's very funny to me though that I've kind of gotten to a point where I'm so in the weeds with shit that the QAnon flavor of the week is something that I'm actually kind of I kind of get why you believe this. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's true. And if you stay on the whole, people who are convinced that this was a hit from the Mossad, you want to know who's, oh boy, you've never in your life seen Candace Owens going this hard. Holy Toledo, dude. Even Maddie, my girlfriend, who someone like Candace Owens does not pop up in her algorithm. You know what I mean? She'll get political stuff, but she's not seeing Candace Owens. Even she is seeing all this. You have to hear what Candace Owens said about this. People are circulating all of these clips where Charlie has been critical of Israel. There was a story that came out in the New York Post that was right before he passed away, Charlie Kirk had written Bibi Netanyahu this love letter about Israel and how he had been to the Holy Land so many times and it's his favorite place and it's worth protecting and blah, 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 blah. What? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That did not fucking happen. Didn't happen. It's fiction. You made it up. The same guy, Netanyahu, a month ago, was we are now opening a fifth front on this war in Gaza where we will be battling misinformation. And what that translates to is we will be perpetuating misinformation, right? And so, I don't know. I guess it is a little weird that down to the minute, the timestamps on Trump and Netanyahu's tweets, sending condolences to Charlie Kirk and praying for his family and all this shit, were sent out at the exact same time they were in the drafts. And then Netanyahu immediately used it as an opportunity to entirely rewrite who Charlie Kirk was as a person and then condemn the idea of Muslims even existing. I do think that's kind of weird that he kind of turns it into his own thing. I mean, hey, I don't know. I've tried so hard to stop and to stay out of it, but then there's just another thing that happens. And then there's another commentator who has something to say about it, and I just gotta know. Tucker's kind of stopped talking about it, which I think is interesting. Kind of stopped. He kind of did it for 2 days, and then was I'm gonna start talking about other things now. Tucker Carlson is already, he had made this a while ago, and he had been promoting it. Tucker Carlson right now isn't talking about Charlie Kirk. He's doing he has a docu-series out right now. He's 2 episodes into it. There are a couple. I don't remember how many. Maybe 5 episodes. I don't remember how many there are. He's doing a 9/11 was an inside job docu-series right now. Is it thorough? Yeah, it is. Is it good? I mean, if that's a world, if that's a conspiracy theory that you're interested in, how much of it is shit that you don't know? It's very thorough. I mean, I think he does a good job of laying out certain timelines and stuff like that. And I think this is one of those things that I don't want to say like trust Tucker Carlson, but I don't think he's like trying to sell me anything that is like harmful to me or that I didn't already believe. You know what I mean? But I'm just kind of like, why are you getting in on this grift now? Is kind of what my question is. Maybe that's not the right question because he's independent now, where like he couldn't do that when he was at Fox. He couldn't do that 20 years ago when he was at CNN, which people forget that Tucker Carlson used to be like a bow tie wearing lib at CNN. People forget about that. He couldn't do it when he was working for the biggest networks in America. Well, now he's independent. He can do whatever he wants. That's why one day Tucker Carlson is making a 5-part docuseries about how 9/11 was an inside job. And then the next day he's like, I'm reviewing nicotine pouches, and I'm fuck yeah. So funny. Oh, it's so funny. No, I don't know. I don't know, Jared. That's QAnon flavor of the week. They think it was his lav mic, dude. They think it exploded. I mean, there are angles that it looks like the bullet came from behind, and that where you saw the blood coming out was not an entrance wound, and it was actually an exit wound. There's one of the security guys that is on the ground with Charlie when he's dead. You can see him. He's wearing like the Meta Ray-Bans, and you can see him hold the side of his lens, like the arm of his sunglasses, right? And it's either taking a picture or taking a video. And people have been trying to figure out, like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Now, it's the same QAnon people who say that he's doing, and I don't, you know what? No, I'm going to keep saying it. They say, the QAnon people think that he's doing it, that the guy, like, took a picture or a video of Charlie Kirk's dead body on the ground with his fucking Meta Ray-Bans to, like, send to the IDF to confirm to Netanyahu that the job's done, job's finished. We got him, boys. And that's how Netanyahu was able to get that tweet out so fast. I don't know. I think it was the same guy that, Charlie gets like pushed over, so he gets shot and he's bleeding out, and his inertia probably would have made him fall over anyways, but a guy rushes over and just pushes him to the ground. And this isn't even QAnon shit. This is just like the MAGA heads out there. Or like, why the fuck did he push him to the ground? Why didn't he try to blah, 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 blah? I'm like, because he was getting shot at. The fuck? Huh? Did you want the guy to kiss Charlie's forehead and then like hold the back of his head and give him a fucking pillow and tuck him in? Huh? He's getting shot at. Of course he shoved him to the ground. That guy's brain wasn't like thinking, oh my God, I'm going to hurt him Charlie was dead by the time the guy had a hand on him. You know what I mean? He was dead by the time the whatever ordinance came out of his neck or went into his neck, whatever it was. It does seem a little bit strange that if the FBI story is that he was shot by Tyler Robinson from 200 yards away from the roof that they are saying that he shot him from, I do think it's weird that there was no like spray on the backdrop of where Charlie was. I think that's kind of strange. I think it's weird that Fox News pushes this story that within the first 48 hours that the bullet, like Charlie's vertebrae, like stopped the bullet. What was it? A 30-06 caliber? Or was it the gun or the bullet? I don't know. I don't know guns that well, but from all of the like smart gun people that I've listened to talk about this, they're like, Charlie's neck, like his spine could not have stopped that bullet. It would have been turned into powder and there would have been an exit wound in the back of his neck. There's one angle where you can kind of see like from like behind Charlie's right shoulder ish. There's one angle where there's like a little bit of a flash from like up in a building right when the bullet goes off, and people think that, so that's where the bullet came from. Some people think that there's a projector or something that's behind him, that something got shot out of that. And I don't know, man. This is wild. Wild, wild, wild. And I'm going to stop talking about it now. I'm going to give you guys a break. Maybe we'll pick this up in the next episode, because I think there's going to be some stuff that I missed. Very, very wild times. And I'm telling you, man, this is going to be something that we talk about for a little while, because something happened here. Something definitely happened here. Super wild. Spotify. One of you guys got like an iguana or something as a pet? The question is more like, it's not do you have an iguana, but which one of you guys got weird pets? What doesn't count as a weird pet? Cat, dog, bird. You can say, yeah, if you got a bird, you can tell me if you got a bird. That's cool. Hamster doesn't count. Like guinea pig doesn't count. Ferret, weasel, that counts. That counts. Snake. Yeah, snakes and turtles. Yeah, you can do snakes, turtles, birds, iguanas, salamanders. Fish don't count. Fish count if it's like you got an alligator gar. you got a gar in your house. Give me, you got any weird pets? Something like that. Maybe you don't, but are you one of those people that wants one? Maybe broaden the scope here. Conversely, if you don't have any weird pets and you don't want any weird pets, do you also think that people who have iguanas are insane? Those things are aliens, man. Those things are real life dinosaurs. No way. No way. I get YouTube shorts of like people playing with them all the time. Fuck no. No way, dude. Got any weird pets? Apple Podcasts. What's up? What's up? If you're watching this on YouTube, sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control, check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Primary control.